I made a point of watching Manchester United Tottenham, and it was everything I thought it would be. Intriguing from start to finish. Could have gone either way. But Tottenham do what Tottenham say they're going to do these days under Ange, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. He's at Celtic, he did very well. He'd attack was his policy, and he's continued this at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. I mean, 7 months of Ange at Tottenham versus 19 of Ten Hag at United. When you look at it, Martin, which side is looking further forward in their prospective projects?
Well, on the face of it, you would think that Tottenham made great strides in that number of months. My point is this: if Tottenham go on to finish third in the league, as Manchester United did last season, and if they go on to win the League Cup, which they can't do because they're not in it, and you're talking about a final of an FA Cup and quarterfinals of the Europa League, that would be some season for Tottenham Hotspur. That's what happened at Manchester United last year. There seems to be a bit of regression this season. They're trying to find an identity at this moment. And Simon just mentioned there a couple of moments ago, just off air, actually easy to play through. And I agree with that. They look vulnerable. Suddenly they're having a good little spell for about 5, 6, 7 minutes. I'm not so sure whether they are actually a pressing team. I don't think they are. I'm not even sure that they're counter-attacking side. Yes, they have counter-attacking players in the side that can do this here, but there's a vulnerability about them, and it has been there for the whole season.
But Martin, you've managed at the highest level. How long does it take to create an identity at a club? This is the way we're going to play, and watch us go. Ten Hag's in 19 months.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. It shouldn't. Perhaps for a club like Manchester United, you're not looking for it to take that long. The results have not been good this particular season for a number of reasons. The very reason that I mentioned, that it won't help if you're easy to play through, and but I would just hold on. Let's see. You're talking about recruitment. You're talking about things like this here, and the recruitment has not been brilliant at Manchester United. It's really not been brilliant. You're expecting players to do far, far better for the amounts of money that have been spent and that is a problem. And eventually, managers are judged on recruitment and results.
I mean, this is a Tottenham whose fans, many of whom were up in arms when Harry Kane is being sold to Munich.
Yeah,
and look at them now.
They're doing very well, very well. Nice team to look at as well, to really play very, very attacking football, and easy on the eye is that statement that people talk about. So they are, and they're doing very well. But Manchester United, different proposition really in many aspects. The expectation at Tottenham Hotspur this particular season wouldn't have been that phenomenally high. It wouldn't have been because of losing Harry Kane, new manager coming in, having to get used to things. Maybe they're doing far, far better than would have been expected. And off to a fantastic start, then hit a wee bit of a tough period, only because they lost some players through injury, as every team does. And now they're fighting back again. Still, he's done terrifically well. All I'm saying to you at the end of the season, if they did win a trophy and finish in the top 4, that would be a magnificent season for Tottenham Hotspur.
I don't get it, Simon. I see what Ange is trying to do at Tottenham, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
I can't see what Ten Hag's trying to do at Manchester United.
I mean,
in spite of his best effort.
Sure, Ten Hag is like the ghost of Jacob Marley drugging the chains of all the previous managers behind him, and the expectation of the Man United fans and the reality of what Man United once were. You're playing in a different environment at Man United than you are at Tottenham. So I always felt with Ange, and as you know, I'm an admirer of his from the get-go, that he stepped into a vacuum that had so many upsides for him and for Daniel, because the expectation was lower after Kane. And there was always likely to potentially someone to step up and fill that gap. There's radiators and drains Kane was becoming a drain and not a radiator, because all the conversation was always about when's he leaving and how he carries this team single-handedly to any achievements it gets. And that means that other players don't necessarily step forward the way that they could and should. So when you're trying to achieve something in a less pressurised environment with less expectation, then you're able to do it perhaps slightly differently than Manchester United are. Now, I'm not giving a pass to Ten Hag because I don't think he's the answer to their particular malaise, which is the culture of that football club has been allowed to fester and degrade to such a point where players like Jadon Sancho think they can behave the way they do, the way that Pogba behaved the way that he did, and other players that we could go on and on about. And the culture of Man United is such that every single peculiarity about Man United is analysed within an inch of its life. And managing in that environment is really, really different to managing in Tottenham Hotspur's environment. Like Martin just said.
Is that right, Martin?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah, it is.
Because you're scrutinised much more.
Well, you are. You just have to look at the history of the football clubs and what they've won. And this is managing Tottenham Hotspur is not easy. I absolutely agree with that. But I do take Simon's point that it was a good time to come into the football club because expectation is low. Harry Kane has left the football club. What are you going to do? What is anybody going to do here? Are we going to stay in this division? Never mind anything else. Suddenly, the Postecoglou
But they were a good side. Spurs are a good side, and they're brave, and I like watching them, and I like what he's doing there. I just think that when Tottenham control games, they're not a top side right now, because when top sides control games, they squeeze the life out of the opposition. Spurs don't. They let the team back in. They let United back into that game when they were in control of it. And that will be the next step for Postecoglou, because he's now got to build a side that can win rather than look good and win and get close to the top of the table.
See, Ryan, like a few sending in messages this morning, Martin, I think I'm having a loving with Postecoglou. I'm not. I get it. But do managers not mirror the teams and the other way around? When Ten Hag speaks, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to get. When Ange speaks, I know exactly what I'm going to get.
Well, eventually, that's exactly what they do. Yeah, the football teams manage the manager or mirror the manager.
I mean, was Roy Keane right? Everyone's praising Tottenham, but it was a draw. It was a draw. The staff get praised, the bus driver get praised, everybody get praised. It finished 2-2. Everybody relaxed. We're relaxed, and the bus driver didn't get praised. I know what he's trying to say, but what are Manchester United? Everybody always says, I see it's different. It's different. Different scrutiny, different this, different history. Of course, I get it. But we knew what Tottenham would do before a ball was kicked in anger yesterday, and they did it. We didn't regard United. And we still don't really know why they're so easy to play through. We still don't really know what Ten Hag's going to trot out. We know what Ange is going to say. But we don't know what Manchester United are about 19 months on.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm getting back to recruitment. I think some of the players that Manchester United have at their disposal are not good enough to play for Manchester United at the at the level in which they want to be competing, and which is at the very, very top echelon of the game.
Do you think Tottenham will be top four, Martin?
Do you know what was really encouraging? Is the manager actually came out and said, "Listen, we can win this. We can win the Premier League." Now, that is actually nice to hear, because rather than hiding behind something, I think he thought, listen, we've got a chance. I'm not so sure that Tottenham Hotspur are strong enough to be able to do that. And I don't know whether they would collectively have enough to go on and win it, particularly the way Manchester City fought back there against Newcastle, and in the manner in which they did, and the players that are going to be coming back into the fold. But overall, that was very, very encouraging. This is the sort of thing that not Tottenham.
You do know
Hotspur
where Ten Hag stands, though, don't you? So if you're Ronaldo, what'd you get? If you're Sancho, what'd you get? You do know
on certain individuals.
So you do know where he stands on certain things, which is on the culture of the football club. He's going to demand better from players. Now, whether he's going to have the time to build it and whether he has the ultimate cachet to be able to build a side, then that's a different discussion. But I do think, how many football clubs do you know sold 25% of their shareholding for £1 billion? How many football clubs do you know get scrutinised and managed and have expectation with that Man United have? It's a completely different comparison. Managing Tottenham Hotspur, which is no mean feat, is not the same as managing Man United. Man United get more column inches than that football club is entitled to. They haven't won much for the last 6 years. We talk about them as if they are what they once were. That is not what they are anymore.
Yeah, there was a message a moment ago. We should never forget it's 11 versus 11.
And look at Tottenham are missing yesterday. Look at the players: Basuma, Maddison, Son, the winger Kulusevski. the players that have made this team tick this season weren't even there.
Yeah, but off the back of what you were saying there, the size of the investment in United and the amount of money involved, yeah, I get it. But it's 11 versus 11.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the Glazers' fault.
What, are you saying that? Are you putting
I'm
that
just
out
saying
there?
it because it's easy to go to, isn't
You're
it?
just saying.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.